What's up guys, I'm enjoying this. Just a little quick look at the PARATEK AIRWAVE. As we can see here, here's the device. Very compact little device, has a nice fairly large TFT screen. I've 3D printed my own case for this because the one that comes with it is a little bit basic, and I also 3D printed a knob because the one that comes stock is very tiny. It's a little bit awkward to use, so this makes it a lot more user friendly. You have a little switch on the side here to turn it on and off. You have your removable antenna up the top. You have your headphone port at the side. You have your charge port on the top up here. And a little speaker grill on the back. So it's a very tiny little speaker, but it is very good quality. It's definitely probably way better than the PSP7. You know, it's fairly loud, fairly clear, but you do have the headphone port as well should you wish to run it on something else. So I've turned the device on. Let's take a little quick look at this. So the main menu, as soon as you turn it on, it has a little boot screen. Then you have all the modes. You have Ouija mode, you have your phone mode, you have your yes no mode, 8-ball mode, you have your settings where you can go and change some settings, and you have your ghost box. You also have your word mode and your oracle mode. So let's show you first. The word mode is just your classic word mode. Oracle mode is the advanced oracle mode where it builds its own sentence all by itself. The Ouija mode tries to spell a word all by itself, and the phony mode basically uses the basic, you know, the phonetic sounds, the k, the ha, all this kind of stuff. All those are in there, and it tries to basically build its own word from just phonetics. So both Ouija mode and Pheno mode don't use any word banks. It's doing it by itself. It doesn't use any kind of words built in. It's not predefined or anything like that. Your Oracle mode, it does have an extremely large word database, but it doesn't know where to put what words are what in the database. I'm going to try and make as much sense of this as I possibly can. So basically what it's doing is when you run Oracle mode and you do a scan, so you can wait till it does a scan because it has auto or manual generation, so you can interrupt it anytime you want. So it does a scan, and it's using the actual radio chip as a scanner now, and what it's doing is collecting the data that way rather than just using some pins, because this device is very tiny. It doesn't have any space for additional antennas, so I decided to use the radio's actual, you know, the radio chip to basically do the scanning. So what it'll do is it'll basically build its own sentence all by itself. Sometimes the sentences can be quite short, sometimes they're very long. And what it's doing is when it's scanning, it's taking about 100 samples, and it builds what's called basically it builds its own blueprint based on the scan data. And that blueprint is responsible for how the sentence is constructed. It should be grammatically correct, so it knows based on the structure that, you know, it has to pick a word from, you know, certain categories, so it is building a proper sentence rather than something that makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Now, the output is still very random. I must tell you how it is. So even though it's doing all this fancy stuff, it doesn't know exactly what word it's picking. So it's deliberately built that way, so it doesn't actually know. So the words that are picked are basically ranged from the data that's picked up from the radio receiver, and that's almost like using the analog pins and stuff like that to do a scan. It's very similar in function, except this has a bit more range because whatever mode you're in on the ghost box mode, it uses that frequency band to generate basically what you see on the screen, and it's doing all that by itself. There's no predefined you know, sentences like that. These other devices, you know, you have a bunch of these little apps and stuff like that. All the sentences are basically just predefined. This is doing it by itself, which is quite unique. There's definitely not any devices out there that can do this at the minute. Certainly not any I've saw. So this is me trying to step away from the random seeding and all this kind of stuff to make you know, your word output. So let's stop waffling on about that. So your Oracle mode is quite special. That's probably the best mode to be using because it is very unique. Ouija mode, as I said, is just trying to spell out it's trying to spell out, and then it'll try to match from the database. If there's basically a partial match or a full match, it will tell you here. It might pick a few words. If that word is in the database which kind of matches what is said here. Let me see if we can actually get something to come up. It's going to prove me wrong now. So sometimes it can actually really spell words, which is quite unique as well. But if it does find a match, it does come up here, I promise you that. So let me back out. So to get back out of the menu, you just simply just hold the button in, and it basically puts you back to the main menu. There we go. And the phoneme mode is exactly the same, except it's using phonetic sounds to build the sentence. And again as well, if it finds a match, it will basically print it here. So that's how that works. And yes, no mode is simply your yes, no mode. It takes a scan and it decides whether it's going to be a yes or no answer. And that's basically it. Your 8-balls is your classic 8-ball mode. It's just for a bit of fun. I thought I'd put it in here just for you know, a bit of fun. So that's going to give you your classic 8-ball answers. And then we have the settings. You can change your theme color, stuff like that. I'm going to keep it cyan because the case matches it. Change your brightness to your desired level. I'm going to keep it about there because it saves battery if you have the, you know, that's still quite bright. There's plenty of visibility even during the day. You don't have to have it full up whack. You'll reserve a lot of battery life just by having the display down a bit. This is your generator, auto or manual function, so you can set it to manual so it turns off the auto generation and then you have to physically press it. I tend to just keep it on auto, and what that does is you can then use both. It will automatically generate after a given time, and you can click it to generate as well. Now let's take a look at the ghost box. So to start it, you just click the button. Immediately you'll hear it. So this will resume, let me just turn off for a second. This will resume all the settings that you previously had. So whatever settings you have, it saves it, and then immediately you go into here. It keeps your sweep rate, your direction, and all that stuff as well. To get into the menu, all you do is click the button, and you can select your band. You have FM, you have AM. This is your shortwave band, so you have 9 different shortwave bands. And then you have long wave, FM, AM, and shortwave again. I just tend to keep it in FM. You can also change your sweep mode, so you can have forward, reverse, or random. Let's just put on random to show you. And then you also have a noise reduction function as well, which kind of it doesn't remove the hiss, but lowers it, if that makes sense. That's it without, and that's it with. I tend to use this with AM. I just leave it at 10, but if you're using different modes, you might want to turn that down so you can actually physically hear it. And there's your volume. You can adjust your volume. I just keep it full blast, and then back, and then you can adjust the sweep rate by turning the dial. It goes insanely fast. About 150 should do most people. And that's it. It's super easy to change the functions. You can have AM and then go back. So that's how the AM sounds. And shortwave. Shortwave is a little bit quiet, but you can definitely still hear stuff. And also long wave. Like so. Might need to adjust the sweep rate a little bit slower for some of these modes. I just tend to keep it in FM and just crank up that noise reduction, and that's it. Sounds pretty good. If you hold it in your hand like so, the amplification from the speaker at the back kind of comes round the front from here. So kind of cupping in your hand like that, you can kind of hear a little bit better, if that makes sense. And that's basically it. Fun little device. Just remember that this doesn't speak or make a noise when it's in the, the generator functions. It's a silent mode, and that's simply due to the hardware. The hardware, like the amplifier and stuff like that, is dedicated for the radio. If I start messing with it, it basically stops the radio working. I did try, but unfortunately it doesn't work. So those modes are silent. The only mode that you actually hear any audio from is from the Ghost Box mode. And yeah, that's basically it, guys. It is what it is. If you guys are interested in buying one, this should be available to buy very soon. I just need to refine the case a little bit. The screen is pressing on the front, which is giving it a little bit of a, a washed color at the end. It's I just basically need to tweak that. Yeah, so you'll be able to pick your colors. I got this in a duotone color just now to kind of match the older PARATEKs, but you can opt to have the case any color you like. That's available. It doesn't have to be all the one color. You can have split or whatever kind of, however you like it, whatever colors you like, and then you can also change the UI theme to match your design color that you picked. It will come with obviously the antenna. Also need to mention that the battery life is well over 6 hours. I've not tested it fully, but I had it running all day, and as you can see, the battery hasn't changed. So I've been in here a good maybe 5 hours already, and it hasn't changed. And I've been having the Ghost Box running and stuff as well. It has that 800 mAh battery built in. You charge it with the USB-C port here. It comes with a weird cable. I'm not sure why, but let me show you. You can basically use any USB-C cable you like, but it comes with this weird one where it has all these different types of connectors for different phones like iPods and stuff like that. I don't know if you guys would like that kind of thing, but it has the USB-C somewhere. Where is it? Here. So it does come with this big ginormous split cable. Anyway, that's what comes with it. That's what you're getting with it. Some people might find it useful for something. But anywho, I'm not sure if people would like the case, the stock case, given with the device as well. I think it looks a lot nicer. That's the stock case. I don't have the other one out, so I can't show you. But basically it looks like that with a little knob sticking out there. I might just supply it with a case in case you want to change it yourself. I wouldn't recommend it because it's quite tricky to get this apart and back in the case. But yeah, if you want the case, you could probably get the old case as well, or you can just keep it stock if you like. It's entirely up to you. Anyway, that is the look at the PARATEK AIRWAVE, and I'm going to catch you guys in the next one. Bye for now.